Today, we will explore the revolutionary fusion of Copan FLOQSwabs and self-collection procedures in our presentation. FLOQSwabs and self-collection, the perfect marriage for diagnostics democratization. We will discover a successful integration between accessibility and results, reshaping healthcare by ensuring accurate diagnostics are attainable for all. Start with the presentation, let's introduce two simple concepts. The first one is democratization, the action of making something accessible to everyone. And the second one, underserved population. Population encounter barriers such as economic status, geography, race, and more, leading to limited access to crucial services and opportunities, necessitating targeted efforts for equitable support and inclusion. To better visualize this concept, consider a global map of optimal travel time to healthcare with access to motorized transport. Now, try to consider what would happen without an access to motorized transportation. Well, the result is that lights are completely switched off. So, starting from these points, are there possible ways to overcome the problem, making diagnostics procedures more accessible to everyone? Self-collection of clinical samples can increase healthcare access and reduce disparities by empowering patients to participate in the diagnostic process with some critical advantages. No need to visit medical facilities, encourage patients to take an active role in their healthcare, and ensure that diagnostic testing is accessible to everyone. To guarantee a reliable diagnostic result, the first question is, are self-collected samples as reliable as healthcare professional collected samples? The answer is yes, but it's crucial to identify and validate the appropriate self-collection method as a substitute for healthcare professional collection. It's very important to consider that not all the biological samples can be self-collected or cannot be easily self-collected. And for example, in this table, based on scientific literature, there is an exemplary list of biological samples that can be self-collected or not compared to the professional procedures. In case of collection sites where it may be difficult to perform the self-collection procedures, it may be possible to use alternative body sites where this procedure can be possible by demonstrating the appropriate correlation. This is the case of the positive correlation between results obtained from nasopharyngeal samples collected by a professional and meturbinate self-collected samples for SARS-CoV-2 detection and described in this study published in 2020. An additional example is related to the correlation between cervical samples collected by healthcare professionals and vaginal self-collected samples for HPV detection. In this meta-analysis published in 2014, it's reported the positive correlation between the accuracy of HPV testing on self-collected samples versus clinician-collected samples. Now, how to guarantee an effective and safe self-collection procedure? The key point is to use an effective collection tool. In the early 2000s, Copan introduced the FLOQSwabs, a new swab concept that consists of a molded plastic shaft and a tip coated with perpendicular short nylon fibers. This method ensures rapid uptake of samples driven by capillarity and effective release of biological samples, thereby enhancing downstream testing capabilities. In addition, the possibility to mold the swab shaft in potentially endless geometries, including the flocked tip, allows the creation of devices to better collect samples from specific body sites. The availability of diverse sizes, diameters, and tip shapes suitable for different applications define FLOQSwabs as a well-accepted substitute for invasive, painful, and expensive collection procedures. where are currently used the Copan FLOQSwabs for sampling. The first product line officially marketed with this specific intended use was the vaginal self-FLOQSwabs. This product is designed to collect samples subsequently tested for human papillomavirus, chlamydia trachomatis and Neisseria gonorrhea, and other STIs detection. The presence of a breaking point allows the swab to be broken in the laboratory into tubes for subsequent processing, while the opportunity to have a peelable barcode on the label allows for the optimization of sample traceability. The sample preservation time for human papillomavirus is currently 2 weeks from -20 Celsius degrees to 50 Celsius degrees, while for chlamydia or Neisseria it's 4 weeks at room temperature. The sample processing is compatible with molecular assays. A few simple steps allow for the self-collection of a vaginal sample that can then be used for the research of STIs or HPV with molecular tests. The device for vaginal self-collection is designed to be easy to use, highly acceptable, and effective in sample transport. It's a safe and comfortable device that supports women taking part in HPV and STIs screening campaigns or for pathogen detection. The self-collection process is simple and can be done in the privacy of your own home. As shown in this map, several different screening programs or clinical trials are currently using Copan vaginal self-swabs worldwide. However, there are other possible body sites that can be suitable for self-collection of biological samples for subsequent analysis, which can range from diagnostics to genetics or microbiome analysis. A first example is the possibility to self-collect respiratory samples from the mid-turbinate, a procedure also recently described by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention during the SARS-CoV-2 pandemic. As usual, it's important to define the correlation between results obtained with the self-collected samples and the gold standard. In a paper published in 2011, the sensitivity and the negative predictive values of self-collected mid-turbinate swabs were compared with results obtained with nasopharyngeal swabs collected by physicians for the diagnosis of viral infection in adults with acute respiratory illness. More in general, it's described in the scientific literature that self-collection of high-quality samples using flocked nasal mid-turbinate swabs can facilitate the diagnosis of respiratory virus infections by PCR. In adults with mild acute viral respiratory illness, self-collected mid-turbinate swabs can be used for an accurate diagnosis. As an additional example, self-collection procedures can easily be used to collect skin samples to detect pathogens or, for example, for microbiome analysis. Self-collecting skin samples is a crucial step in detecting pathogens and studying the microbiome. The low biomass of typical skin samples make it challenging to characterize the skin and wound microbiome. Improved methods for obtaining microbial DNA from a single skin or wound swab have been developed, which can increase the efficiency and data quality of microbiome studies from low biomass samples. Non-invasive skin samples can be shipped cost-effectively at room temperature by mail or standard courier services, making it a convenient and accessible method for molecular diagnostics and screen microbiome studies. But what about a multiple and integrated approach not based on dry swabs? A possible solution is a series of self-collection swabs compatible with a non-dry transport system in combination with Copan inert, a medium able to preserve nucleic acids for up to 4 weeks at room temperature. The inactivation capacity of inert allows the microbial composition of the collected samples to be maintained unchanged. The combination of these two systems allows to combine the characteristics of the flocked swab with those of a medium able to guarantee the preservation of the analyte for long periods without the need for a cold chain. These features are useful in cases where the sample needs to be collected in remote areas and then transported to the laboratory for testing. INAT ensures enhanced specimen stability during transport, overcoming the lack of a cold chain. It addressed biosafety concerns, providing a secure method for specimen handling. With these features, INAT facilitates diagnostics in remote or rural areas through community clinics and hospital outreach services, promoting safer and more accessible testing. Thank you for your attention and feel free to contact us for additional or updated information about our product for self collection.